This is Sybert signing into Red Alert 3, and we're on the map BattleBase Beta. That is right. I am not dead. I am actually casting the game, not just uploading VODs from tournaments and spawning as the orange Soviets in the bottom left side. This is Tingu. And the green empire in the top right, it's JulzzZ. That is right. We have an EVS, a matchup that we have not seen in an absurdly long time. I can't actually remember the last time I casted a top-level EVS. It's been so much Allies action, which is great for all of you Allied players out there and everyone who loves watching top 4 Allied players dominate absolutely everything. But it has been a while since the days of, I guess Dan Call was the last non-Allies to really be dominant, but before him, there were of course quite a few Empire players who were dominating things, and there was even a time when people would ask, will there ever be a time when we don't see top empires just smashing everything? And the answer is yes, because now top allies are smashing everything. But at any rate, as I mentioned, I have been a little bit away from the casting gigs. I've just been, doing other things and doing things that aren't really relevant to video games most of the time, but that's beside the point because we do have JulzzZ going for a pretty aggressive dojo placement here. It's really quite surprising to see him deploy this far down, but of course, as you can see, he's clearing out that building. Technically cost ineffective, but if he's able to do something like take down the oil derrick or maybe use that building as a strong point to push forward into the base of Tingu, then that cost ineffectiveness can end up paying off. And the barracks, I think, did technically get sold off there for like an 8 credit bonus to JulzzZ. As you can see, JulzzZ going to be going for the Mecha Bay. Fresh alpha those 2 refineries, but really, now that the sickles are out, these Imperial Warriors are not going to be doing a whole lot else. And it looks like from Tingu, we do have the MCV move out to the water. He's going to be going for that 3rd expansion. Of course, this does present a nice opportunity for JulzzZ to go ahead and try to harass with Tengus if he does indeed decide to do that. And of course, between the water and the land expansions, it can be somewhat difficult to defend all of those locations at once. And we'll have to keep our eye on exactly what JulzzZ decides to do. He may be dropping down a 3rd refinery relatively soon here. As you can see, power plant does come out, and he still managed to maintain the hold with that instant dojo. He, of course, has to be very careful with those tank busters that he doesn't give them away without any real recompense from them. And as you can see, JulzzZ has indeed spotted, at least he's spotted the MCV moving back out onto the land, but he should have indeed spotted the refinery as well. Tingu going to be keeping a terror drone on watch, and JulzzZ smartly does deploy onto the actual ground. And actually, Tingu may be firing off this terror drone. We'll have to see. Actually, I'm not sure what's up with that Mecha Tingu. It may have actually just got bugged a little bit there. But JulzzZ is going to have to pull back. He needs to make sure that he just auto-fires right onto that terror drone. I'm not sure why he didn't get a little bit more distance between him and the terror drone. He probably could have eliminated that before it actually infected any of his stuff. On top of that, still no 3rd refinery coming out from JulzzZ, so he does need to put the hurt on. He does need to do a little bit of damage, which he has captured the oil derrick back from Tingu, which of course means that he's going to be denying that economy, and we'll have to see if JulzzZ actually holds that oil derrick long enough for it to actually be worth it. A couple sickles going to be moving in here, and it's tier 2 for JulzzZ as he does indeed get that chopper VX up in the air, and these sickles are pretty much dead at this point. They did force the harvesters off the line, which is nice, but it's not really the sort of victories that you need when you're trading 2 sickles for basically nothing. And you also have to think about the veterancy a little bit there. It's not going to be a huge deal. Oh, a terror drone does get eliminated as well. Unfortunately for Tingu, he may have been able to do something with that terror drone, but as it stands, he was not. The super reactor is going to be pretty darn late. It's still not actually up. As you can see, 4 refineries. That's actually pretty surprising that he went up all the way to 4 refineries without a super reactor, unless I'm missing something. He is dropping down another reactor, delaying the super reactor even more, so he's just really sitting on that tier 1 tech. JulzzZ, on the other hand, he's up to the tier 2 on his Mecha Bay, but we'll have to see what exactly he decides to do with that barracks. Refinery finally going to be getting established, and while you may be thinking, okay, Tingu is way far ahead in the eco, with the cost-effective units that Empire has, sometimes it is very difficult to get ahead as Soviets and get a nice, powerful army rolling on the ground to then go ahead and move in. But if you can get some nice attacks in with Twin Frog, something that can be very cost-effective, then you can end up evening things up. But sometimes we just see Empire players be a little bit too cost-effective for the economic advantage of the Soviets to really pay off in a big way. But we will have to see. Of course, these players do have a lot of harassment opportunities. interestingly enough, the terror drone is still on that island, so actually, I don't know how much this... Alright, well, never mind. The Mecha Tengu does transform in time, because, of course, if JulzzZ went for the same thing, trying to deploy the Mecha Tengu out onto the land to avoid the Bullfrog, then, of course, he would run into the same problem that the last Mecha Tengu ran into, which, of course, that terror drone, and he may actually end up... No, he does not transform. He is able to snipe the terror drone. I wasn't actually sure if that counted as high ground or not. Looks like one tank buster does go down, and the Tengu from JulzzZ is going to be chasing away this sickle a little bit here. Tengu going to be getting a little bit of harassment on a bear and a terror drone combo. An interesting combo indeed. I'm not sure if that messes with the AI, if maybe the bear is the first thing that gets auto-targeted by the harvester if you transform the harvester. But at any rate, this harassment has indeed fallen, and really Tengu isn't going to be able to do too much about that other than just slowly let that... Well, the sentry gun apparently finished off the Tengu, so he doesn't have to wait for it to slowly die after all. But again, now there's another harassment opportunity for JulzzZ opening up. And other than that, the oil derrick finally does go down. So JulzzZ definitely getting his money worth out of that out of the oil derrick. And there's a transform on that Tengu. A lot of harassment coming down from JulzzZ, mostly in this bottom location. Really not a lot of harassment outside of that. Tsunami tanks are starting to be produced, just a few at a time. And other than that, these two players need to maybe put on a little bit of pressure soon, because one of them might just end up getting a little bit too far ahead with the harassment. But they're both kind of equal in terms of the harassment. I think JulzzZ may have been doing a little bit more harassment, but at the same time, he's also, I think, done a little bit more damage. So he's lost a little bit more and done a little bit more damage. I'm not exactly sure who would be ahead in this scenario. And the tank buster does indeed make it into the building, which is quite nice for JulzzZ. Going to be taking a little bit of damage. Tengu might actually... Oh, he does lose the hammer tank, which is really quite annoying. Could end up losing a second one. And there the conscripts are finally going to be getting up nice, close, and personal. And the bear going to be absorbing quite a few shots. So there's not maybe enough conscripts to actually clean out all of these tank busters, and more tank busters are being produced. The barracks finally does get shut down, but that's an extra Imperial Warrior, which could help stop some of the conscripts. Another terror drone going to be harassing that collector. Tengu just may end up winning through the through sheer harassment if he's able to keep this up, but as for now, it's not enough to simply just rocket ahead. He, of course, did get the 4th refinery up a fair bit earlier than JulzzZ, but we'll have to see if he's actually able to roll that into a big enough advantage. JulzzZ does still hold the middle ground, which, of course, with Tengus and Chopper VXs, if that's the route you go, if the Soviet player holds the middle ground, well, it's pretty easy to skirt around the edges with the air units. But at the same time, we haven't seen a lot of twin blades coming out from Tingu, so that's one thing that is definitely an option for him. We'll have to do a quick round. Yeah, he doesn't have an airfield. Oh, he never actually dealt with that Tengu, so he hasn't actually been able to get that Harvester back online, which is definitely a little bit of a detriment there to Tingu. He's going to have to get that back online eventually. But as for now, he's actually got a really nice force of hammer tanks currently built up, and in combination with that charge drone, he's going to be able to do super annoying stuff like this, and it forces JulzzZ to make a decision. Do you want to engage into this army, which maybe Tingu's got a better concave than you, maybe he's got defender's advantage, but at the same time, it's forcing JulzzZ to be the one who's in the uncomfortable position of, do I attack right now? Do I wait to attack? Of course, there's an overwhelming number of forces here for Tingu, so JulzzZ is never going to be very comfortable attacking into this army, especially once these Tesla troopers get in on the action. And of course, Leech Beam, it is such a powerful ability. The range is quite fantastic, like double that of the normal cannon. And then on top of that, it does heal the units, but JulzzZ is going to be getting decimated here. One thing that could have helped negate some of the damage is, of course, that honorable discharge ability, which unfortunately, none of those tanks took like any damage from the honorable discharge. As you can see, they're pretty much all at full health. A couple more infantry getting picked off, so JulzzZ definitely in a little bit of trouble, but we'll have to see how he ends up transitioning out of this. As the army of Tengu, just straight up, it is scary. JulzzZ is going to either have to harass Tingu to death, or he's going to have to find another way to engage this army, just not head on, because with nice micro, and of course with the special abilities that all these units do have, Tingu may very well just be smashing through without too much trouble. In the meantime, JulzzZ does have a nice little buffer zone set up here, and this is going to take a little bit of time, a couple of minutes at least, for Tingu to actually break through the middle of the map. In the meantime, he's not going tier 3. He's just producing units. I find it quite interesting that Tingu still has not got an airfield up at this point, although I may very well be missing it. And of course, 5th refineries have not quite been taken for either player. And these sentry guns will do a pretty good... Oh, actually dropping down a Tesla coil, pretty expensive, but of course it will keep that refinery safe for quite a bit longer. Oh, JulzzZ gives away one Tingu. A second one does go down as well, but he's doing a little bit of damage. I mean, he took out a flak trooper, which is really the best thing that he could have hoped for in that situation, with those units basically camping that refinery, not letting JulzzZ get any real damage done. And actually... Whoa, that's something we haven't seen in a long time, is an actual wave force tower. I don't know that I've ever seen one in a competitive match. Similarly to, I don't think I've ever seen a prism tower in a competitive match. Maybe C9 can make that happen, but still, that harvester is not back online, and that's going to be hurting Tingu's economy a little bit there. It's a little bit of a mess up there by Tingu. Other than that, Tingu going to be evening the odds here by sniping down this refinery, and of course he has been harassing a little bit. Not a huge amount, but at least a little bit earlier on in this game. More Wave Force artillery are out. Nice focus fire, premature fire there from JulzzZ to clean up that one hammer tank. But other than that, JulzzZ has done a good job of surviving up to that Tier 3, and of course, a lot of Empire players don't actually go for Tier 3. They're more comfortable with highly mobile Tier 2 armies and really just going for those multi-prong attacks or just trying to murder someone. And actually, a Psionic Decimator. I don't know if this is one of those, like, lolzy builds that JulzzZ is going for, where he decided before in-game, or before the game started, he was like, I'm gonna go super weapon just because. Or if he actually felt like, you know, that he could warrant that cost to really drop the 5K or whatever it is. Is it 5K still, or was it 5K and then they reduced the price down to like 3.5? I don't actually remember. In between that and Crane Kane's Wrath, the differences escape me because they're not used very often. Infantry leading the charge, but it looks like a maybe Desolator airstrike could be coming in here on top of... Oh, if this is Desolator, that's bad. Okay, that was very close to the Badger Bombers actually just dropping toxins all over that infantry army, but with the infantry mixed in here, it's actually not a bad composition if JulzzZ can engage on his terms, because at the very least, the hammer tanks are going to have to try to run over all of the infantry without taking too much damage, while the Wave Force artillery fire pot shots from the rear. But, in the meantime, those Twin Blades that have finally been brought out onto the field. We could have a little bit of a Twin Frog harassment combo moving out, but for now, it's just going to be the Twin Blades added into the army. JulzzZ re-establishing his 4th base, could end up going for a 5th refinery eventually, but as for now, that's all he's going to be doing, is just those 4 refineries. And Tingu, has he actually got it back to work? Yes, he's finally back up to the 4 refineries, as he should be. Twin Blades darting forward, they might be able to catch out a Wave Force artillery. That's going to be a nice pickup there. Oh! Nice use of the point defense drones by JulzzZ, going to be keeping that Wave Force artillery alive just a little bit longer, and of course, it's close enough to get repairs. JulzzZ could go ahead and get that repaired if he wanted to, but as for now, he is not going to be actually getting any repairs on the Wave Force artillery. Could be a good idea to go ahead and do that. Bullfrog's going to be coming in here, but no big losses. Even if the Tingu did go down, it wouldn't be a big deal there for JulzzZ. He's at Tier 3. He's at a nice rolling economy where he's got these higher tier, bigger units, and he can afford to lose a couple of Tingus here and there. Tingu, on the other hand, going to be moving into the right side of the map, again going for this 4th refinery of JulzzZ, and if he's able to smash that down again, just little victories like that end up making the bigger difference in the game. And of course, with the Twin Blades, they can go for the Wave Force Tower, or they could let the Wave Force Tower get a couple of shots off once the refinery goes down. Of course, the refinery does block the vision of the Wave Force Tower, or at least I believe it does. I don't think it's one of the base defenses that can fire over buildings. Oh, a couple of Bullfrogs getting eliminated. One Wave Force artillery does go down, but the Tingus, the Twin Blades rather, are going to be getting caught out a little bit there by the Striker VXs. Not a huge deal because not too many of the Twin Blades actually went down. Is there a Crusher Crane out on the map? He just now starts. Of course, at $1,200 a pop, if you're losing, 3 or 4 Twin Blades, that's a lot of money down the drain, and much rather just drop the 1,500 credits or whatever it is on the Crusher Crane and get that back. Is there a Terror Drone here? No, but the Tesla Troopers do lock down that King Oni, and unfortunately, these Chopper VXs, or Striker VXs as they are now, are pretty much worthless. And this army just getting systematically shut down by Tingu. Of course, JulzzZ, with his artillery from the Logan, can pick off some of the Tesla Troopers, which are really quite expensive, and not necessarily worth it if you're just losing them one after the other like this. But if they take down another King Oni, it'll probably actually be worth it. The Twin Blades would have really helped in that army, because at some point, Tingu could have focused down the last 2 Striker VXs, and of course after that, there's not a lot of anti-air left in the army for JulzzZ. Of course, now that Rocket Angels are out, that does offer a lot of kind of efficiency potential for JulzzZ to take advantage of, with the secondary ability Paralysis Whip, not something you see very often. Again, Badger Bombers might be doing a little bit of damage here, but JulzzZ does react in time, and on top of that, he doesn't have a lot of infantry, so that wouldn't have done too much damage. May end up wearing through that Wave Force Artillery eventually. JulzzZ does smash forward here. The Bull Rush from that King Oni, not doing a terrible amount of damage, but at the same time, the Wave Force Artillery, if they're able to get some money shots off, they may end up turning the tide a little bit here, but JulzzZ is just surviving on barely nothing. He does have Yuriko out on the field, which can, again, turn the tides of the battle, but for now, it's looking like Tingu is just going to be smashing on through. There's not a lot that JulzzZ has left, not a lot that he can really come up with to stop this army at the current time. And one thing that I would have liked to see Tingu do, as we do have Shogun battleships doing a little dance on the right side, on the top side of the map here, but I would have liked to see a little bit more harassment. I mean, there is 5 Twin Blades at least, and he could be going for Kirov airships or something if he goes tier 3, which I don't think he's gone tier 3 just yet. But yeah, there's a lot of harassment opportunities that Tingu is not taking, and as for now, he is going to be finally clearing up this Wave Force Artillery, really eliminating that from the map. Not really that it did too much. I think it killed 1 Bullfrog, which honestly, not a big deal. Another Harvester is going to be moving out to the front lines of JulzzZ, using the Sacrificial Harvester to try to, I guess, get a little bit of scouting information, and that, a sudden transport, most likely with Yuriko Omega inside of it, or yeah, it's Yuriko, I believe, as, well, I don't know what that civilian structure ever did to JulzzZ, but it did indeed house a Tesla Trooper, which is quite annoying for him. However, this could be a game-changing move in terms of infrastructure. Not in terms of really eliminating the army, which is on the wrong side of the map for that Yuriko to actually be effective at killing off the army, but of course, if Yuriko gets ejected out, Yuriko could go ahead, level some of these expansions, take out a lot of infrastructure, production facilities, as well as tier 2, if he ends up getting around to that. Satellites do get called down, and actually I think the tech is mostly on the left side of the map here. However, there is the Crusher Crane and a lot of economy and production here in the main base, and actually, the Bullfrog is now in the south side of the map. Of course, sudden transport, we need to keep an eye on it. This is really JulzzZ's one last shot, because with the great army that Tingu has been building, he gives away a couple of Twin Blades here, not too big of a deal as long as he maintains his economic superiority, but is that about to come to an end here, as the sudden transport is now in the main base, and where is the eject out? JulzzZ is not really paying attention. There's Yuriko going to be coming on out. The War Factory is going to be the first choice. I would imagine the airfield would be after that, but really Yuriko taking down aircraft is so easy, so he doesn't have to worry too much about that. And there is going to be the Psionic Decimator, and on top of that, Emperor's Rage fires off to slow down the units. A great move here by JulzzZ in combination with some absolutely OP units going to be smashing through a lot of the army and also the base of Tingu. He does still have hammer tanks left. He needs to go for these ore refineries and really make sure that he eliminates the main base and then moves on quickly. Of course, the bears can be used in a large amount to clean up Yuriko Omega, but is it actually going to be enough? This Twin Blade is not going to be enough to clean up Yuriko by itself. May need a couple of bears to be added on there. Hammer tanks moving in, the Twin Blades as well, going to be pretty darn useful. Goodbye, Twin Blade. And the bears, they're not actually close enough. This is a great opportunity, but they need to make sure that they don't go in too big of a clump, or else that ends up happening. And Yuriko, how long can JulzzZ actually juggle these bears? Doing a great job of picking them up one after the other, even if they're not completely dead. Getting them up off the ground and away from Yuriko is very important. Of course, with that heroic status, she can probably take a couple of more hits. Another refinery does go down. Yuriko gets eliminated. That Tesla coil is the MVP of Tingu's army, and at the same time, that is a King Oni hammer tank mixed in here, but now with a real King Oni on the front lines, the Bull Rush may be utilized to eliminate at least one of these hammer tanks. They are, of course, fully heroic. There's the sell-off of the Tier 3 for JulzzZ. He does indeed need... Oh, he nails one of them, but actually, he's already got the upgrade, so it doesn't really matter. That Tier 3 is just a little bit of a waste of money for now. Of course, if he wants to get the barracks back up to Tier 3, he will have to rebuild that. But King Oni's now out on the field. They're actually being useful. That's a lot of flak troopers, though. I don't actually know who would win in a straight-up battle. Of course, King Onis, if they just crush everything, they'll most likely be the ones who win. But with civilian structures added on and with some potential flank attacks going on, we'll have to see who ends up winning. I'm not sure what is actually... Oh, the Wave Force... Oh, the Shogun battleship, not Wave Force Artillery, out on the water. Has JulzzZ actually done it? And actually, these Imperial Warriors are going to be having an absolute heyday. One of them may actually get up all the way to that heroic status, and never has Bonsai Charge seemed so terrifying as they just eliminate so many of those flak troopers. 3 King Onis, and suddenly Tingu has nothing left, having to rebuild infrastructure across the map at his 5th refinery location, which really, it's his, I think, only refinery. It is indeed needs to sell off that Tesla coil. He doesn't need that. He needs to sell off everything, the walls, pretty much anything and everything he can get, but at the same time, JulzzZ still has at least 2 refineries out on the map. A 3rd one is about to be established, and somehow, JulzzZ, with the epic comeback, the combination of Eureka and the Psionic Decimator, enough to knock Tingu down. And King Oni, you might wanna not stand near your friends. Okay, he's just gonna sacrifice that King Oni, which actually, ooh, that was a little bit close there, as of course, if you damage your unit just enough to get it really close to death, and then the Terror Drone finishes the unit off, then that's a very good way. Oh, nice use of that Wave Force Artillery to eliminate units after unit, but eliminate units in a line rather. But of course, if you use the Terror Drone to try to, or if you use your own units to try to kill off the unit with the Terror Drone inside of it, and you don't quite kill it, the Terror Drone can finish off that unit, maybe even gain heroic status, and then immediately affect another unit that is nearby. Of course, JulzzZ now knows, if he didn't know before, that there is a lot of infrastructure over here. A couple of Terror Drones on... Alright, so King Oni number 1 does get infected. 1 Terror Drone does go down, which of course means that this heroic King Oni is doomed to die. But nice use again of the point defense drones to elongate the life of the King Oni a little bit there. Akula Sub gets a nice shot off there, eliminates 1 more refinery. That's down to 2 refineries, one of them really at half health, which means JulzzZ has to be careful about losing one to a harassment opportunity. And oh, Tingu, I may have spoken too soon. JulzzZ definitely had the comeback, but Tingu, can he have the counter comeback? With he's got the Crusher Crane. I don't know if the MCV ended up surviving. I don't think it did. I'm assuming it went down to the Wave Force Artillery. No, it did survive. And look at that. We got 2 refineries out on the map for Tingu. At the same time, the MCV can be crushed down for a fair amount of cash. You get, I think, like 60% or like 2/3 of the cost of the unit, which at a $5,000 MCV, that is quite a nice bonus for Tingu to have at this point in the game. He's also managed to eliminate all of those high-tier units that JulzzZ had, which of course are very expensive to reproduce. I'd be very surprised if he went for more tier 3 units. He needs more of a power tier 1 army, tier 1, tier 2. Maybe go back to the basics, go back to Tengu's, and then also just more Striker VXs. Go for a combination like that. As you can see, Psionic Decimator down to just over 1.25 minutes, as it just drops below 1.25 minutes, and there's 4 hammer tanks. They're in a pretty nice clumped up group. And again, we could end up seeing Emperor's Rage be used on the enemies, which is not something I see very often. I don't know that I've ever seen it used like that. So props to JulzzZ for thinking of new and inventive ways to use things. But if he's able to eliminate the army of Tingu, he may very well have one. As for now, it is going to be conscripts. I guess these are going to be mostly absorbing shots. If they switch to Molotov cocktails, they do a little bit of damage, but really, these conscripts are just to absorb shots and delay that Wave Force Artillery. And 1 power plant does go down. If he's able to lock down this Psionic Decimator, it'll at least force JulzzZ to rebuild another power plant and get some more power on his grid. As for now, 4 hammer tanks, a couple of bullfrogs, and of course dead conscripts, but there's a couple more conscripts mixed in, as well as a terror drone on the sort of left side there, and these Yari mini-subs going to be patrolling the waters of the map just to make sure nothing ends up happening. The airfield is getting rebuilt, which is very important. I don't know if I agree with the King Oni, which is very important for Tingu to help him eliminate these high-tier units. Of course, with the terror drone in combination, he can use the stasis ray, I think that's what it's called. Oh no, he's actually already in the stasis ray mode, so don't actually know what that is called. Final Squadron does get called in, and it is called in upon the War Factory a little bit there, mostly upon the Super Reactor. Not a super good hit there for JulzzZ, but the Crusher Crane did get eliminated. I'm not exactly sure from what, but at any rate, the Yari mini-subs are still out on the map, but JulzzZ really needs to make sure that he gets some more units up in the air. Chopper VXs are going to be an excellent, excellent choice. Where are the bullfrogs? There's 2 of them. Ooh, oh, JulzzZ needs to pull off to the right here. He doesn't want to give away the fact that he's got these Chopper VXs heading down to the base of Tingu. Of course, he probably doesn't know about the bases on the left side here for Tingu. So once he eliminates this, he may think that he's won, but of course, he has not actually won. They should at least get the War Factory. They may get the Super Reactor as well. We'll have to see if the bullfrogs actually have time enough to get over there. And there goes the War Factor. The Super Reactor would be also another nice target to get in some nice control here from JulzzZ is going to be potentially keeping alive those... Oh, no, now that there's two bullfrogs here, it will not be enough. JulzzZ could end up sacrificing, is the word that I would like, Chopper VXs to go ahead and kill off that super reactor, but he decides to cut his losses, cut and run. He got the War Factory, which is good enough. He didn't actually get the Tier 2, and this oil derrick has been alive for the majority of this game, passing like the 26-minute mark. So that's garnered a huge amount of money for JulzzZ. Of course, I think it's like 450 credits a minute times 20 is more than I can do on air right now. So however much money that is, that's how much that JulzzZ has actually gotten from that. Going for MiGs is definitely a good choice. I wouldn't say that Tingu needs to commit too heavily into the MiGs, as he's basically rebuilt himself from almost nothing back into almost a win, as he does have the superior or nearly superior army. Of course, it does come down to control, but with the terror drones and the ability to lock down the King Onis and the Wave Force artillery, we'll have to see if it actually ends up working. This Chopper VX does get eliminated for no reason at all. The second Chopper VX gets eliminated as well, and there's pretty much nothing left here for JulzzZ. He's back against the ropes, and I guess I missed the Psionic Decimator, but that's alright. We'll have to pick it up later. At any rate, this King Oni, it's getting locked down twice. Once from the Terror Drone, once from that Tesla Trooper, and Tingu is pretty much going to be taking this game. I don't know that it's actually possible for JulzzZ to win at this point. Does he still have the Shogun battleship somewhere out on the map? I don't think he does. I guess he lost that at some point a little bit a while ago. Sells off 3 of the power plants, sells off the Mecha Bay as well. Remember, that was a Tier 3 Mecha Bay, which means it costs quite a lot to get, and the MCV takes a little bit of splash damage from the satellites. The hammer tanks will be, of course, able to finish it off, being locked down by that Terror Drone. Oh, and Tingu just claiming reward after reward. Oh, on top of that, insult to injury, as JulzzZ tries to expand to the left side of the map, and it just does not work out for him. And Tingu completely just smashing through JulzzZ in these last few minutes, and really he played smart. The last half of that game, he took a ton of damage, was almost down for the count, but he of course expanded to the corner, which of course helped very much, and then of course eliminating Eureka and re-expanding up here was what really sealed the deal. And then just playing smart, harassing, winning where he could, but never committing too much, and JulzzZ has been defeated as Tingu breaks on through in a fantastic 20-something minute match. And alright, so there we go. By the way, yeah, GameSpy is going to be getting shut down on June 30th or so, or that'll be the last day. I guess it'll probably be shut down on July 1st. But you of course can't check out GameReplays.org and Revora. They're going to be working together with some other community sites to recreate the service offered by the GameSpy servers on private networks. So if you have not heard about that, you can check out the link in the description. It will be down there. And other than that, a fantastic match with some nice harassment. I would have liked to see a little bit more out of these players. Joel's playing very well, playing very smart. I mean, everyone could see it. He was down and out for quite a while there, and then he basically came back to the brink of victory. But Tingu was able to just be too cost-effective, and really, Tingu lost a bunch of stuff, and I'm not sure if it was the Terror Drone surprise or if it was him just building Terror Drones, but either way, he had enough Terror Drones to lock a lot of King Onis down and really to eliminate the high-tech, expensive forces of JulzzZ to gain himself the victory. That'll be doing it for this game. I hope you enjoyed it, and of course, thank you very much for watching. This is Sybert, signing out.